multiplication chart. Your learning target today is I can use a multiplication chart or table to find the product and to notice patterns when multiplying. And you'll know you're successful today when you can find patterns and relationships between multiplication facts. So today I'm going to show you how to make a multiplication chart. And a lot of the time the multiplication chart is already made for you, but I'm going to show you how I build it so that you understand how it works. And you can use this to help you figure out a multiplication fact if you're stuck and you happen to have a chart nearby. So with this multiplication chart, of course, I have my counting by ones this way, going down, or going vertically, or I have counting by ones going horizontally or going to the right. And when I look at this chart, I'm going to just fill it in, and I'm going to notice that if I have a 1 at the top right here, that means one of my factors is going to be 1. And that's one of the numbers that I multiply together. It's a 1. And same with this one right here. If I go down, that means my other factor will be 1. So that means 1 times 1, which is 1, right? So since I'm going to go down and I'm going to notice that 1 at the top of our chart, these are all times 1 facts. So I'm going to just count by ones going down, because you know that anything times 1 is itself. So for example, 9 times 1 gets us 9. That's why there's a 9 right there in that spot. So now I'm going to fill in our 2's, and when I go down with my 2's, I'm going to count by 2's, okay? So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24. When I look at my 3 right here at the top, I'm going to be counting by 3's as I go down. So let's count by 3's. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24, 27, 30, 33, 36. Okay? So as I fill in my multiplication chart, I'm just counting by the number or the factor that's on the top of my page or at the top of my chart. And if you notice, if I look at this, it's like I'm doing that same thing. I'm counting by that number, right? If I look at my 2's, for example, right here at the side, it looks like 2, 4, 6. What do you think will come next? Maybe an 8? Let's see if that makes sense. Let's fill in that 4's column like we did with the 3's, the 2's, and the 1's. So we start with a 4, 8, yep, that's next, so we were right. 12, 16, 20, 24, 28, 32, 36, 40, 44, 48. So I'm just going to fill this in and we'll see how we use it when I'm done. Okay, as you can see, I filled in most of this multiplication chart, but I left some blank so that you could help me fill out the rest. So as I filled this out, I did the 5's next, and you can see as you go down that it counts by 5's, right? 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60, right? Because 5 is one of our factors, and we know times 5 facts always count by 5's. And as you look at the side right here, if I look at 5 times 5, and I kind of use my finger to kind of see where they meet, 5 times 5 is 25. Is that true? Yes, it is. So this is a great way to figure out those multiplication facts if you're stuck. And that's how a multiplication table or chart works. So right here, when I started my sixes, I counted by 6 as I went down, and I was wondering what went in this blank right here. It's right after 30, and if I look at 6, and it's 6 times 6, that will give me my answer. What's 6 times 6? 36. Though that kind of has a rhyme to it, right? 6 times 6 is 36. That makes sense. It is 36. So that's how we would figure that out, because that was blank. Let's go over to the 7s now. I have 7, 14. What would come next if I'm counting by 7s? Another way to think about it is it's 7 times 3. What would be 7 times 3? 21. If you look at the table before that, if you look at 3 right here and times 7, it's the same thing. See how it's 21 down there? So that's how we would fill that out. What would be 7 times 8? Because there's an 8 right here. 7 times 8 is 56. So right now, I want you to pause the video, and I want you to use this multiplication chart and try to figure out what would be 8 times 9, because that's what's blank in our chart still. And then I want you to fill in the rest. So it looks like there's a problem that you'll need to figure out in the 9s column and in the 8s column like we just talked about. There's one in the 10s column, there's one in the 11s column, and then there's one more in the 12s column. I want you to try to figure that out. And if you don't know that fact, remember, as you're going down in the multiplication chart or across, it's counting by that number. So like this column right here, down here, that I just circled, that's counting by 12s. So obviously right here, if you don't know 12 times 12, you could just do 132 plus 12. That gives you the blank. And you could do that for any of the other missing ones too. So I want you to try that out and see what you come up with. Please pause the video. All right, so for 8 times 9, you should have got 72. For 10 times 3, you should have gotten 30. It looks like I skipped the 9, so let's go down. What did you get for 9 times 11? Should have gotten 99. So I hope that you noticed anything times 11 is itself, like 11 times 1 is 11, 11 times 2, 22, 11 times 3, 33. See how that smaller factor kind of doubles? That works for facts 11 through 9. So that kind of helps you see the pattern with 11s. With 10s, as you can see that I just circled blue, if you go across, you see that it's counting by 10s. Same with if you went by the 10s and you went down, counting by 10s. So let's finish filling in this chart. I hope that for 11 times 5, you figured out that that was 55. And see how with the 11s going down? There's that 11s pattern again. 11, 22, 33, 44, 55, and so on. And then, last but not least, we have 12 times 12. That is a big fact. You might already know it from reflex math. But like I said, if you were stuck and you're like, I don't know 12 times 12, you can figure out 132 plus 12. And that gets you to 144. So that would be our multiplication chart, and you can use this anytime that you might be stuck. You can always look up like a picture on Google Images and look up multiplication chart, and you'll see a nice neat one that is already filled out for you. And you can use that by just thinking to yourself, oh, if I'm stuck with 9 times 9, I'm going to use my 9, find the 9 on top, find the 9 on the side, and use my finger to see where they meet. Oop, and it looks like it's 81. So that's just a good way to figure out facts that you don't know. And remember, our goal is to eventually know these facts without using any strategies or tools like this multiplication chart. But this is something to use for now if you happen to be stuck. Please remember though, never use a multiplication chart when you are taking a test. That is something important to note. Okay, I hope that you learned something today. Good job. So here is a nice, neat multiplication chart, and I just want you to notice a couple more things. So with this multiplication chart, if you take a look at the yellow boxes and they're going down diagonally, those are the products of like a doubles multiplication fact. So 1 times 1, of course we have 1. 2 times 2, we get 4. 3 times 3, we get 9. 4 times 4, 16, and so on. Those are the doubles facts. And another thing I want you to notice is whenever we multiply something by an even number. So, for example, an even number could be 2, right? That's an even number. Anything multiplied by an even number is going to have an even product. So 2 times whatever, it's going to be an even number. What's another even number? 4, right? Anything times 4 is going to be an even number. It doesn't matter if it's 4 times 5, even though 5 is not even, there's a 4, so the product is going to be even. What are our other even numbers? We have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and 12 on this chart. So anything multiplied by an even number is going to have an even product or an even answer. One more thing is, you know that just like when we learned about the distributive property, if I took, let's for example say a times 4 fact, that is the same thing as if I took the times 2 facts and I doubled it, right? Look at times 2. Look at 5 times 2, that's 10. What would be 4 times 5? Rather than 2 times 5 is the same answer but doubled, right? 2 times 5 is 10, 4 times 5, 20. So if you are stuck on a times 4 fact, think about your times 2 facts and double your product. Double the answer because it will be the same as a times 4. So one more example of that would be if I looked at 2 times 9. That's 18. Let's look at 4 times 9. That's 36. 18 plus 18 is 36. So again, it's that doubled answer. Something else to keep in mind. So remember, your learning target today is I can use a multiplication chart or table to find the product and to notice patterns when multiplying, and you'll know you're successful when you can find patterns and relationships between multiplication facts.